She posted, "Finally free to live my best life," after moving out. 2 weeks later, her best life showed up at my door asking for a place to stay. I couldn't sleep the night she moved out. The silence in the house wasn't peaceful. It was loud. Every drawer she'd yanked open, every closet she emptied, left behind this hollow echo that made me feel like my own walls were accusing me of something. I'm Jacob, 32, male. I work construction, real, boots in the mud, steel beams in the air type of work. I'm not poetic. I don't do drama. But this felt like the kind of thing people write songs about. Her name's Melanie, 29, and she was my girlfriend for 5 years. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. Then one night, I come home from a late shift, covered in dust, only to find her already packed. Suitcases by the door. No warning, no fight leading up to it. Just a note on the counter that said, "Finally free to live my best life." Those exact words, like she was announcing a prison break. I didn't beg. I didn't even call her. Something in me just shut down. You don't come back from a note like that. I sat at the kitchen table, stared at it for hours, and then threw it in the trash. She'd been posting nonstop on Instagram after that, clinking wine glasses, rooftop selfies, captions about choosing yourself and stepping into the light. People were DMing me screenshots like they expected me to react. But I didn't. I went to work, came home, fixed myself dinner, and slept like a damn robot. 2 weeks passed. I was just starting to adjust to the weird loneliness when the doorbell rang at 10:30 on a Tuesday night. I figured it was a delivery mix-up or maybe my neighbor needing help again with his fuse box. I opened the door, and there she was. Melanie. Same girl who'd left me with a note and a hollow house. Except now her hair was a mess, mascara streaked, and she was clutching one of those oversized tote bags like it was the last thing she owned. "Jake," she whispered, voice cracking, "can I stay here? Just for a while?" I swear my stomach dropped straight into the floor. All I could think about was that note. Finally free. Her words, not mine. She'd chosen her best life, right? What the hell was she doing at my door, asking for a place to crash like we were still something? And the thing that really got me, the tote bag she was holding wasn't just hers. Sticking out the top was a tiny stuffed rabbit. One I recognized instantly. Not hers. Her best life had a kid. And they were standing on my porch. I didn't invite her in right away. I just stood there, one hand still on the door, staring at her like she was a stranger. Because that's what she felt like. A stranger who happened to look like the woman I used to wake up next to. Her eyes darted past me, into the house like she was already imagining where she'd put her stuff again. Like she could just walk back into the life she'd walked out of. "Jake, please," she said, shifting the bag higher on her shoulder. "It's not what it looks like." And then, like she knew exactly where my eyes had landed, she pulled the stuffed rabbit out and held it against her chest. "It's for Ella," she added. "She's asleep in the car. I didn't want to wake her up unless you said yes." That's when the air in my lungs turned into fire. She'd shown up at my door, 2 weeks after ditching me with a goodbye note, and now there was a kid in her back seat. "Who the hell is Ella?" I asked, my voice low, too calm for the storm going off in my chest. Melanie flinched like I'd slapped her. Then she started talking fast, words tumbling over each other. She's mine. Well, ours. Not yours," she corrected herself, catching the way I stiffened. "She's my daughter. I didn't tell you because I thought you wouldn't understand. But things with her dad didn't work out, and I thought, stop." My voice was sharper than I meant it to be. "You thought what? That you could play single girl on Instagram while hiding a whole child from me?" Her face crumpled, tears streaking through the half-dried mascara. She tried to step forward, but I blocked the doorway with my arm. "Jake, I didn't mean for it to be like this," she begged. "Her dad bailed. He doesn't want anything to do with us. I left because I thought I needed freedom, but it's not freedom, it's hell. I can't pay rent, I can't—" I laughed. Couldn't help it. It wasn't funny, but the absurdity of it all cracked something in me. "So your best life lasted what, 12 days? And now you're here, dragging a kid into it?" Her voice rose, panicked now. "Where else am I supposed to go? My mom won't help my friends. They just want me for the party photos. You're the only one who ever really cared about me, Jake. Please, just for a little while. I pictured the note again. The way she left like I was a burden she had to shed. And now, here she was, shivering on my porch, clutching a stuffed rabbit, while her daughter, this Ella I'd never even heard of, slept in the back seat of a car parked under my streetlight. And damn it, against every bitter bone in my body, all I could feel was the weight of that kid. A little girl who didn't ask for any of this chaos. I rubbed my hand over my face and muttered, Jesus Christ. Because I knew right then, I wasn't just deciding about Melanie. I was deciding whether to let a child into my house. And nothing about that felt simple. Don't forget to subscribe. I told her to wait on the porch while I grabbed my jacket. I didn't want her stepping inside yet. Not after everything. But I couldn't leave a kid sleeping in the back seat of a freezing car either. Walking up to the car felt surreal, like I'd stumbled into someone else's life. Inside, strapped into a car seat too small for her age, was this tiny girl, maybe 3, maybe 4, dark curls stuck to her cheeks, clutching a juice-stained blanket. The stuffed rabbit's twin was in her lap. I opened the door slowly, careful not to startle her, but she blinked awake anyway. Those wide eyes looked at me like I was supposed to know her name. Hey, I whispered, crouching. You must be Ella. She nodded, rubbing her eyes. Then she looked past me toward the porch where Melanie was standing, chewing her nails. Mommy? And God, the way that word hit. It wasn't Melanie's Instagram persona or her rooftop champagne selfies. It was raw. A kid calling for her mom. Yeah, Mommy's right there, I said gently, unbuckling her. Let's get you inside somewhere warm. Back on the porch, Melanie reached for her like some kind of redemption arc was about to start, but I angled my body so Ella was against me instead. Pure instinct. I didn't trust Melanie with her in that moment. Inside, I set Ella on the couch. She curled up instantly, rabbit tucked under her chin, already halfway back to sleep. And that's when I got my first real look at Melanie in the light. She was thinner than 2 weeks ago. Not the cute Instagram detox kind of thin, but the hollow-cheeked, sleep-deprived thin. Her coat smelled faintly of vodka and something sour underneath. She sank into the chair across from me, staring at her hands like they belonged to someone else. I didn't plan this, she said finally, voice flat. I thought leaving was the right move. I wanted to be, I don't know, free. But it turns out freedom just means you're alone when everything goes to shit. I stayed quiet because what the hell do you even say to that? She glanced at Ella, then back at me. I know I messed up. With you. With all of it. But Jake, I don't have anywhere else. You're the only person who ever gave a damn about me without wanting something in return. Her words should have landed like a compliment, but they felt like a trap. Because what she was really saying was, you cared, so you're stuck with me. And I felt the old anger rising. The nights I'd stayed up waiting for her when she lost track of time. The way she'd laughed at me once for bringing her soup when she was sick, posting on her story, when your man thinks he's a nurse. The note. God, that damn note. Like I'd been the prison she escaped. Now she was back, asking me to turn my house into a halfway home for her wreckage. I looked at Ella, small and silent on my couch. Not her fault. Not her choice. But Melanie? She had chosen all of this. And the look in her eyes told me one thing crystal clear. If I said yes, if I let her stay, it wouldn't just be a week. It would swallow me whole. So I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, and said, if you're staying, it's not on your terms this time. Understand? No Instagram lies, no disappearing acts, and I swear to God, Melanie, if I even suspect you're putting that kid in danger, I will throw you out faster than you can blink. For the first time that night, she actually shut up. But the silence didn't feel like peace. It felt like the pause before a storm. For about 3 days, it was quiet. Too quiet, like the silence in a house right before you realize the pipes are about to burst. Ella was easy. That little girl just wanted stability. Cartoons in the morning, peanut butter sandwiches for lunch, a blanket at night. She barely spoke above a whisper, but every time she smiled, it hit me in the chest, like she was testing the world to see if it was safe to smile in. Melanie, on the other hand, was a different storm. At first, she acted like she was grateful, kept saying thank you every time I handed her a plate, or let her shower, or gave her a pillow. But the tone shifted quick. Gratitude turned into entitlement. She started leaving makeup containers all over the sink again, blasting music in the kitchen while Ella was trying to nap, scrolling Instagram on my Wi-Fi like nothing had changed. By the end of the week, she was back to making comments. Little digs. You really never upgraded the couch, huh? Or, don't you ever get tired of eating the same food every day? I bit my tongue. For Ella. But the dam cracked on Saturday night. I came home from work and found the living room wrecked. Wine glass shattered on the floor, couch cushions scattered, and Melanie screaming into her phone. Ella was curled in the corner, rabbit clutched so tight her knuckles were white. What do you mean you're not paying? Melanie shrieked at whoever was on the other end. You promised. You said you'd help. She saw me, slammed the phone down, and immediately redirected her rage at me. Do you have any idea what it's like trying to raise a kid when no one helps you? I snapped. Are you kidding me? I'm literally standing in the ruins of my own living room because I let you in. You don't get to scream at me like this. Her face twisted, eyes wide and glassy. So what? You're just like him then? You'll kick us out too? Ella whimpered at that, a soft sound that cut through everything. I lowered my voice, but my hands were shaking. Melanie, look at her. You're scaring your daughter. Do you see that? For a second, just a second, her expression softened. But then it hardened right back. She stormed over, scooped Ella up, even though the kid stiffened against her, and hissed, "Don't you dare tell me how to be a mother." And then she slammed the bedroom door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. I sat there in the debris, breathing heavy, glass crunching under my boots when I finally moved. The weight of it all pressed down like a concrete slab, because now it wasn't just about whether she stayed or went. It was about that kid, the one who had no choice but to follow her mom's chaos. I knew then, this wasn't going to end with a calm talk or a polite goodbye. It was going to end messy. Violent, maybe. And for the first time, I started thinking about revenge. Not petty revenge. Something bigger. Something that would flip the script on her completely. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Alright, wow. I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. I posted here thinking maybe a handful of people would tell me I wasn't crazy for feeling trapped. But instead, my phone's been lighting up like a damn slot machine. I read a lot of the comments last night while I couldn't sleep. Some of y'all are savage as hell, but honestly, I needed that. A few things I want to address because they keep coming up. 1. No, Ella isn't mine. A bunch of people asked if I should get a DNA test. Trust me, if there was even a 1% chance she was mine, I'd have been down at the clinic already. Melanie was seeing this other guy, a bartender, apparently, right before she got pregnant. He bailed as soon as diapers entered the chat. So nope, not mine. 2. Yes, CPS crossed my mind. A ton of you said, call CPS, protect the kid. And yeah, believe me, watching Ella flinch when her mom raises her voice makes me want to pick up the phone right this second. But I also know how messy that system can get. I'm not going to throw a 3-year-old into foster care if I can avoid it. Doesn't mean I won't if Melanie spirals further, though. 3. The glass-shattering meltdown? That wasn't a one-off. Since posting, it's happened again. 2 nights ago, she lost it because I hid the wine. For the record, I didn't. I just stopped buying it. She tore through the cabinets like a raccoon in a dumpster, then accused me of trying to control her freedom. Meanwhile, Ella sat at the table coloring in total silence, like this was just Tuesday for her. That image is burned into my head. But here's the part most of you are going to love, or hate, depending on how you feel about revenge. A top comment on my original post said something that stuck with me. She left you with a note saying she was free. Make sure she never forgets what that freedom actually cost her. And that hit different, because Melanie's whole thing, her whole identity, is about appearances. Instagram perfect, rooftop selfies, hashtag best life. She needs people to think she's thriving, even if she's drowning. So yeah, I've started planning something. I'm not going to spill all of it here yet, in case she ever finds this. But let's just say, if she wants to perform her life online, then maybe it's time the curtain gets pulled back. Thanks to everyone who commented. Yes, even the guy who told me to man up and toss her and the rabbit out with the trash. Not gonna lie, that one made me laugh at 3 a.m. when I needed it most. I don't know how this is going to play out yet, but I promise you, it's not ending quietly. I woke up Sunday morning to the sound of Melanie laughing. Not the carefree laugh I remembered from when we first started dating. This was loud, manic, forced, the kind of laugh you do when you're performing for someone. When I walked into the kitchen, she had her phone propped against a cereal box, filming herself making pancakes like she was hosting some Food Network audition. Ella sat at the table, coloring with stubby crayons, completely ignored. "Say hi to my followers, Jake," Melanie chirped, swinging the camera toward me. I froze. The nerve of it, using my kitchen, my groceries, after 2 weeks of chaos, acting like we were some happy family she could package for likes. I didn't wave, I didn't smile. I just walked past her and poured myself coffee. Her smile faltered when she realized I wasn't playing along. That's when the seed of the plan bloomed. I remembered what that commenter said. Expose her. She lives and dies by appearances, and I knew exactly how to do it. So that night, after she passed out on the couch with an empty wine glass beside her, I picked up her phone. I wasn't snooping. She'd left it unlocked, face down on the cushion. Notifications still lighting up the screen. And sure enough, she wasn't just posting selfies. She was DMing half a dozen guys. Flirty, desperate stuff. "Wish you were here. My ex is so boring, I need real passion." Even one that said, "You'd make a better dad than the loser I'm stuck with right now." Loser, meaning me. My stomach turned, but instead of rage, I felt calm. Cold. Like a switch had flipped. I screenshotted everything. Every DM, every half-naked pic she'd sent in the last 2 weeks. And then, because karma's a cruel artist, I found her private spam account, the one she used to vent about me to her little Instagram circle. Gems like, "Can't believe I tricked Jake into letting me stay. Men are so easy." Ella deserves better, but whatever. I need a roof. God, I hope he doesn't find out about last night. Last night? That one hit me like a sucker punch. She'd snuck out while I was dead asleep and hooked up with someone, while her daughter was asleep in the next room. So I copied it all, sent it to myself, backed it up. The next day, when she went live on Instagram from my porch, holding Ella like a prop, saying, "We're finally building the family we deserve," that's when I struck. While she was mid-sentence, the comments on her live started lighting up. People tagging her, asking about the DMs, quoting her own posts from the private account. She blinked, confused, tried to keep smiling, but her eyes darted side to side like she was trapped. And then her phone buzzed. A notification popped up on screen that her viewers could see. "Girl, why would you write this about Jake? He's literally raising your kid right now." Her face went white. The live cut off. She stormed back inside, phone in hand, eyes wild. "What did you do?" she screamed. But before I could even answer, Ella toddled over, holding out her rabbit like it could fix everything. And in that moment, Melanie looked like a cornered animal, desperate, dangerous. I knew I'd pulled the curtain back, and she wasn't going to take it quietly. She came at me like a hurricane. One second she was white as a sheet, the next she was in my face, jabbing her finger into my chest so hard I actually stumbled back. "You think you're clever?" she shrieked, her voice breaking. "You ruined me. Do you know how many people were watching? Do you know what you've done?" Ella flinched at the volume, clutching her rabbit, tears already welling. I bent down, scooped her up, and carried her toward the hallway, but Melanie wasn't having it. She grabbed at my arm, nails digging into my skin. "Don't you walk away from me, Jake. She's my daughter." "She's a kid, not a prop for your followers," I snapped, shaking her off. "And if you can't see the difference, then you don't deserve her." That set her off like gasoline on a fire. She screamed, this raw, guttural sound, then started grabbing whatever was closest, picture frame, candle, even the remote, and hurling them at the wall. Glass shattered, wax smeared, batteries skidded across the floor. Ella buried her face in my shoulder, trembling. My hands shook too, not from fear for myself, but because I was watching this little girl live through the exact chaos Melanie swore she wanted to escape. Then Melanie did the one thing I'll never forget. She ran to the front door, flung it open, and started yelling into the quiet street. "Help! He's trying to steal my daughter!" My blood turned to ice. Neighbors' porch lights flicked on. Curtains twitched. A couple across the street stepped out onto their porch, staring at the scene unfolding. I felt the weight of Ella in my arms, her tears soaking my shirt. If I tried to reason with Melanie, she'd spin it louder. If I stayed quiet, I'd look guilty. Either way, the damage was happening right there, in real time. So I didn't argue. I didn't scream back. I just turned and walked to the living room window where Melanie's phone was still sitting on the sill from her failed live stream. I held it up and said, loud enough for every neighbor to hear, "Funny how I'm stealing your daughter when your own words are still up here for the world to read." And then I read one out loud, word for word, from her private account. "Ella deserves better, but whatever. I need a roof." The street went dead quiet. The couple across the street exchanged a look, then stepped back inside. Porch lights started clicking off, one by one. Melanie's face crumpled, realizing the audience she'd tried to summon had just turned on her. She slammed the door shut, spun around and screamed, "I hate you!" before throwing herself against the wall and sliding down into sobs. Ella whimpered again, whispering, "Bunny, Bunny," like the rabbit could erase it all. I carried her to my room, shut the door, and sat with her until she finally cried herself to sleep. My own shirt was still damp with her tears when I stared at the ceiling, replaying everything. Because now it wasn't just about revenge anymore. Melanie wasn't just unstable, she was dangerous. And if I didn't do something soon, the next time she exploded, Ella might be the one in the crossfire. And that's when I realized, if she wanted war, I was ready to give her one. But not with fists, not with screaming, with something she couldn't fight back against. The truth. Update 2. So, things went nuclear. First off, I didn't expect half my neighborhood to be DMing me links to my own post after what happened on my lawn. Apparently, Melanie's little stunt, screaming that I was stealing her daughter, spread fast. A couple of neighbors thought it was juicy enough to post in a local Facebook group. Which means by Monday, everybody knew some version of our drama. And here's the kicker. Some of y'all from this sub actually found those posts and started dropping receipts in the comments. Screenshots of her DMs. Quotes from her burner account. Someone even pasted her "finally free to live my best life" post under the video of her sobbing on my porch. That one had me laughing so hard I nearly choked on my coffee. So yeah, the narrative flipped quick. Instead of me being some creepy guy trying to steal a kid, she's the one getting dragged online for using her daughter like a photo prop. People were commenting things like, "Best life lasted 2 weeks, huh?" Imagine choosing clout over your child and still losing both. Someone get that little girl a stable home ASAP. I won't lie, seeing strangers roast her with the same words she once weaponized against me. It was cathartic. Sweet revenge. Now, the serious part. A bunch of you told me to protect myself legally. After that scene on my porch, I realized how close I came to having cops show up at my door. So I've already talked to a lawyer. I've got the screenshots, the videos, the neighbors as witnesses. If she tries to spin this again, I'm ready. And about Ella, some of you called me out saying, "Stop trying to be the hero, call CPS." I get it. Trust me, I hate the idea of throwing a 3-year-old into that system. But I did call a child welfare hotline anonymously. Explained the situation. They told me they can't step in unless there's clear evidence of neglect or abuse, but they did say the meltdown on my lawn counts as concerning behavior. So, a caseworker's now officially aware of Melanie. Here's what's wild. Melanie has barely spoken to me since that night. She slams doors, sulks in her room, sometimes blasts music so loud it rattles the walls. But she's also terrified. She knows her mask slipped, and the world saw it. Some of y'all joked about me playing the long game, but that's exactly where I'm at now. She's spiraling, her public image is tanking, and I'm sitting on a pile of receipts. The more she thrashes, the deeper she digs her own hole. And when she finally breaks completely, I'll be ready. The silence didn't last. It never does with her. By Thursday, Melanie was back on the offensive. I came home to find my truck keyed so deep it looked like someone had tried to carve their name into the door. Big, jagged scratches down both sides like claws. My gut told me exactly who it was, But she was in the kitchen acting like she was baking cookies with Ella when I walked in. Flour on her hands, innocent eyes. "You see what some psycho did to your truck?" she asked, voice dripping fake sympathy. I wanted to scream. Instead, I just stared at her until she got squirmy. She knew I knew. But that wasn't her endgame. No, the truck was just her opening move. The real play came 2 nights later. I was putting Ella to bed, reading her goodnight moon, when I heard the front door slam. Heavy footsteps. A man's voice, slurred, angry. "Mel, where the hell are you?" I froze. Ella's eyes went wide. She whispered, "Mommy's friend." I stepped into the hall just as some guy stumbled into the living room. Tall, skinny, reeking of booze and cheap cologne. Melanie was behind him, trying to shush him, but he shoved her off and pointed at me. "This him? This the loser you said was playing daddy?" My fists clenched so hard I thought my knuckles would split. "Get out," I said, low and steady. He laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. "You think you're some hero, man? She's been blowing up my phone every night, begging me to take her back. You're just a free motel." Melanie screamed at him to shut up, but it was too late. The words hit like dynamite. That was it. The revenge plan I'd been simmering. This was the moment it came together. Because here he was, the walking proof of everything she'd been denying. And I wasn't going to waste it. I grabbed my phone, hit record, and held it up. "Say that again," I told him. He grinned like an idiot. "That she's been begging me? Yeah? That she said she'd rather be with me than stuck here with some boring construction worker?" He looked right into the camera, happy to say it twice. Melanie lunged for my phone, screaming, but I sidestepped her. "Too late," I said, sliding it into my pocket. Her face went pale. She knew. That was the kill shot. Because now I didn't just have screenshots of her burner account or her drunken meltdowns. I had her lover on camera admitting she'd been cheating, lying, and using me. And with the way she weaponizes appearances, that video was dynamite. She must have known it too because she absolutely lost it, screaming, sobbing, pounding her fists on the wall until her knuckles bled. The guy just shrugged, muttered, "You're crazy, Mel," and stumbled out the door. When the dust settled, she slid to the floor, sobbing, muttering, "You ruined me, Jake. You've ruined my whole life." I looked at her, then at Ella's bedroom door, where the nightlight glowed softly through the crack. "No," I said, "you ruined your own life. I'm just making sure people see it." And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The final straw came faster than I expected. Sunday morning, I woke to the sound of Melanie vomiting in the bathroom. Not just hungover, violent, shaking, retching, until she collapsed on the tile. Ella was standing in the hallway clutching her rabbit, terrified. That was it for me. No more waiting. No more, maybe tomorrow. I tucked Ella back into bed with cartoons on low volume, then pulled out my phone and opened a fresh post. It wasn't on Reddit. It wasn't some anonymous venting. It was straight to Facebook, the same local moms group where Melanie liked to parade her best life photos. I uploaded everything. Screenshots of her DMs. The burner account posts trashing Ella. The video of her drunk lover bragging that she'd been begging him to take her back. And just for poetic symmetry, I ended the post with a photo of the note she'd left me 2 weeks before. "Finally free to live my best life." I captioned it. "This is what best life looks like behind the filter. My only concern is the little girl caught in the middle." Within an hour, it had over 200 shares. Within 2, it was everywhere. Neighbors, coworkers, even her own relatives chiming in. The comments were brutal. "Using your kid as a prop? Disgusting." I used to follow her on Insta. Can't believe how fake it all was. "Ella deserves better than this chaos." By noon, Melanie's phone was blowing up nonstop. She came storming into the living room, eyes wild, waving it in my face. "You think this makes you a hero?" she screamed. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone I know." "No," I said calmly. "You embarrassed yourself. I just stopped covering for you." She threw her phone at the wall where it shattered, then collapsed into sobs. But there was no fire left in her, just exhaustion. That afternoon, two women from her family showed up, her aunt and cousin. They'd seen the posts. They were furious, not at me, but at her. They packed her bags while she sobbed into a pillow. One of them scooped up Ella, held her gently, and whispered, "You're safe now, baby." And just like that, Melanie was gone. The house was quiet again. Not hollow, not accusing. Just quiet. Ella's staying with her aunt for now, thank God. I've kept my distance, but the cousin texted me to say Ella's doing better already. Sleeping through the night, eating without flinching at loud noises. As for Melanie, her Instagram is deactivated. Word around town is she's couch surfing, no one willing to play hostess to her drama anymore. She went from best life to invisible in less than a week. And me? I'm sitting at my kitchen table, sipping coffee, staring at the spot where her note used to be. Only now it doesn't sting, because I finally understand. She was never free. She was always running. And for once, I'm the one who's finally free. And it feels damn good.